Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shifty's 49ers Talk. It's your boy Shifty coming at you with another one. Tonight, we are going to do my latest mock draft. We're actually going to use a mock simulator, and I'm going to talk about the picks as I go. I will be using the mock simulator from thedraftnetwork.com. I will have a link if you want to do one of those yourself in the description, of course. I do want to say a couple things. Tomorrow, which will be Monday, the 28th of March, I'm going to be on a couple of YouTube channels. Going to be on 49ers Ultimate Report at 4 p.m. Pacific time. I'll have a link for his channel in the description. And then also I'm going to be on CG Ruthless. We're going to have a roundtable for Niner fans just talking 49er football. I'm going to have a link for his channel also in the description. I will be on that at 6 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow evening. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Can't wait. Without further ado, let's hit that intro. And before we get into this mock draft, which is going to be a whole lot of fun, I've done a couple of these before, but these are just super fun to kind of put yourself in the GM's shoes. I do want to preface with a couple of things. If it were me, number one, I would actually probably look to sign Jaquiski Tartt on a one-year deal before the draft. That way we know that we have our safety position relatively filled. It means that we don't have to force a pick. Although, for sure, I would like a young player who's a playmaker in the secondary at safety. It means we don't have to reach for guys. So that's a move that I would make. Of course, his familiarity with the defense and the players and the coaching staff helps too. Also, I'm not going to do any trades in this one. I'm just going to go stick with the picks that the 49ers got. We're going to go from there. Last but not least, I don't think Garoppolo gets traded before the draft. I don't think he gets traded on draft night. I just can't see that happening, especially with him still recovering from his shoulder surgery, even though by all accounts it's looking like he will make a full recovery in time for training camp. I just think the teams will want to see him throw before they really commit to that trade. So now let's get into the mock draft. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. So we are on the draftnetwork.com. So we're going to start a mock draft. We're going to select the 49ers. We're going to do all 7 rounds, and we are going to go fast. So the Niners really have almost all 22 starting positions filled. So we're really going to be looking for quality depth. Now, of course, I do think we could use a starting interior offensive lineman to then allow Brunskill to be in his most valuable position, which is being the 6th offensive lineman, considering he can play almost any position on the offensive line. So if there's a really solid interior offensive lineman, I'd be very, very tempted to go that route. Our pick is coming up. Let's see who is available. Matt Corral is here. Wow. So in reality, I think there's almost zero chance that Matt Corral would be available. I think he's a solid late first, early second round pick. But let's see who we got. Trey McBride is very interesting, probably the number 1 rated tight end prospect in this draft. Might be a little bit early considering we have George Kittle, but that is a position that I would like to upgrade to have a good, solid receiving second tight end. It looks like we are probably going to let Ross Dwelley walk in free agency. So we do have a couple of interesting edge players here. Logan Hall, Josh Pascal, these guys, especially Logan Hall, is a little bit bigger. And we brought in Kerry Hyder. We brought back Jordan Willis. We have a Menahu, so I really don't think that's going to be a direction that we would go in here. There are some options here. I really like Calvin Austin. I've talked about him in a number of videos. Just an absolute speed demon. Would really bring another dimension to our offense. Enagbare here from South Carolina. We love our South Carolina players. So this is really, really tempting here to go Enagbare. Now, he hasn't had the best postseason, like in terms of like the combine workouts and things like that. But honestly, the tape kind of speaks for itself. So at this point, I'm really, really leaning to Enagbare. He's 265, so a little bit bigger, but I really like his game. Then, of course, we have Dylan Parham. So this could be a case where, he could be our future center after Alex Mack. And I'm very tempted to go, wow, there's a lot of different options here. Drake Jackson's a solid edge prospect. Darian Kendrick is someone who's actually dropped in recent months. But I'm going to make a pick here. Let's go with Enagbare from South Carolina. I think, he is someone who will definitely help with the speed rush. You can never have enough pass rushers in this league. Of course, we know that D Ford probably, who knows if he ever plays another snap in the NFL, even though he's wanting to come back. So now we are in the third round with our 93rd overall pick. And we do have some really solid options here. I like Greg Dulcich from UCLA. He can actually line up in a number of different positions. He can be tight end. He can be like a fullback. He can actually, maybe his position of the future is going to be a slot receiver. I also do like Cole Strange here. He from Chattanooga. He is another guy, maybe similar to a Parham, could be like a potential future center, possibly guard. And we definitely will need some depth there. Let's see who else we have. Now, one of the guys who I am a big fan of is Martin Emerson from Mississippi State. I think he is a perfect cornerback in this defense. A little bit physical. You might argue too physical. You might draw a lot of flags. But wow, I really, really like his game. And we saw last year just how bad it was when we lost all that depth at the cornerback position. So you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick with the defensive side of the ball. We're going to go Martin Emerson. Third round, 93 overall. Now, we do have a pick at 105 overall, which was the compensatory pick from Mike McDaniel being hired by the Miami Dolphins. So let's see who else we have available here. No one here is really standing out to me so far. Alec Lindstrom is a guy who I do like out of Boston College, so he might be an option here to really fill that interior offensive line depth right there. Trying to see if anyone else is really standing out to me. Jelani Woods. Now, he's a tight end who is, I think he had the fastest 40 for tight ends in the combine, and I've seen some tape of his at Virginia, and he is a big dude. He is a big guy and he can run fast. So that is very, very tempting there to get some depth. But you know what? I'm going to play it safe. We're going to build through the trenches and I'm going to go with the guy, his brother was a first round pick to the Falcons and he's played well in Atlanta. So I'm going to go Alec Lindstrom here on the offensive line. Let's get that much needed depth that we need along the offensive line. Now, I really would like to go safety with this next pick. Of course, we're going to have to see who's available. I'm really hoping that maybe my guy, Verone McKinley. Let's see if Verone McKinley is available. Ooh, here we go. He's actually rated pretty low here on the Draft Network. I really like McKinley because at the safety position, he is a ball hawk. Now, we know Tart is solid. I think Odom, the signing, he's more so a special teams guy, but he's solid at safety. But McKinley's a guy who I think could really be similar to a Deshaun Goldson that the 49ers drafted years ago, who was just a ball hawk, right place at the right time, is not going to drop the ball like Jaquiski Tart did. Rough topic, 49er fans. I'm going to do it. I have to do this. I'm going to go Verone McKinley out of Oregon, the safety. Cool, so that was our fourth round pick. We're going to be moving into the fifth round now, and we do still have some, holes to fill. There's still some options out there. There's a lot of actually really good players and guys I like later in the draft who I think could really help out the team. So now we're going to be all the way at pick 172 in the third round. So let's take a look. Ooh, one of my favorite guys here in the draft and is actually Pierre Strong Jr. I believe he actually ran the fastest 40 for running backs. Now, you could argue that we don't really need a running back. We have Elijah Mitchell. We have last year's third round pick Trey Sermon. We brought back Jeff Wilson. We have JaMychal Hasty. But wow, if you ever watch Pierre Strong, he is just Kyle Shanahan all over it. Now, we saw that Elijah Mitchell missed some time last year, and I think that could be the case because he's very physical. We know what Trent Williams said about Elijah Mitchell. He's one of the hardest running guys. So I'm going to go, let's get another weapon here, another speed guy who could be our replacement for Raheem Mostert. Mostert signed with the Dolphins to follow Mike McDaniel there. So I'm going to go Pierre Strong from South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, I believe they're called. But I think a solid pick there. You could argue, oh, we don't really need a running back, but I just think at that position, it's just hard to say no to like just the quality of player there. Let's see who we have now. We are in the sixth round. We're at the sixth round, pick 187. So there are some options here. Tyquan Thornton, he's a speedy wide receiver. I did mention earlier that I want to take some pressure off of George Kittle. So if there's a tight end here, Reed Blankenship is an interesting prospect at safety. Kalen Barnes, he's another speedy guy. A lot of... Okay, I saw the name. We are going to go Charlie Kolar, and I don't necessarily like drafting for need at this point in the draft, but I think he does fit a need. And Kolar is actually one of the highest rated guys in terms of just overall combine performance. He was right up there with Trey McBride, with Jelani Woods, so I really like his game. He's not George Kittle in terms of he's going to have that exact same speed, but a great catcher of the ball for Iowa State. We got George Kittle from Iowa State, but I do like his game. And let's take a look at his bio a little bit. 6'6", 255. So that's definitely some height there that will really help out Trey Lance in the red zone. We do jump balls, things like that. So I'm going to go Kolar. And that was our first pick in the sixth round. We actually have two more sixth round picks. So we're going to see who's going to be available for the last couple of picks that we have. I did mock draft on here before, and I believe that the Niners own the Mr. Irrelevant pick, the very last pick in the seventh round, but on here it doesn't have that. So these will actually be our last two picks, and they're back to back. So let's see who we have available here. Tyquan Thornton. So a speed guy. So he could be a guy who brings another dimension to the offense. I really like Tyquan Thornton. He blew up at the combine. I'd actually be surprised in reality if he was still here, just because teams fall in love with speed. So this is an interesting one. Charleston Rambo. The funny thing is, if I'm not mistaken, I read it here. They mentioned before, not a hands catcher, but I've actually seen him make some really nice catches at Miami. But at this point here, we haven't drafted a wide receiver. We really have, three guys with Debo, Ayuk, and Jawan Jennings, Ray McLeod. Although he can play receiver, he's much more going to be like the return guy. So I'm going to go Tyquan Thornton. Look at Tyquan Thornton too, 6'2". So he's not a small guy. He's a big guy, can go deep, maybe can be... because someone who I was wanting in free agency was Valdez-Scantling, and he went for a much bigger contract than I would have given him. So I'm glad we didn't sign him. But I think Tyquan Thornton could be, just a notch below Valdez-Scantling, but brings similar traits to the position. So let's go Tyquan Thornton. And then we have another pick right here, right after it. So let's see here who we have. Trey Turner's an interesting guy. Smoke Monday, maybe the best name in the draft, so you almost want to draft him just for the name, which is, always a very sound strategy to have in the draft. Let's see who we got here. Kevin Austin. We got DeMarcus Fields. Okay, so a couple of guys here. Dontario Drummond, comes from that Ole Miss, who pumped out a lot of wide receivers lately. A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, even Elijah Moore with the Jets now, and I think he's going to be great. But there's a name also that sticks out here is Tyler Vrabel. I think Vrabel is a guy who definitely has a lot of potential. Of course, his father is Mike Vrabel, former New England Patriot, now the head coach of the Titans. So he's got those NFL bloodlines. Could be a developmental guy at right tackle. McGlinchey's in his fifth year. Is going to be his last year under contract, coming back from an injury. Of course, I hope he plays well, but I don't think McGlinchey's going to be here long term necessarily. So this could be a solid option here with our last pick in this draft. Bubba Bolden's actually another guy too. So he's had some off the field issues, I believe, but a really, really solid prospect. Didn't test great at the combine, but I think he's more instincts, like natural feel for the game, and he is not afraid to hit people as well. Although we did draft my guy McKinley earlier, so and in this situation, I would ideally bring back Tart. So I think we'd be more than good there. So at this point here, I'm going to see if we can get Mike McGlinchey's potential replacement down the line. Maybe McKivitz is that guy, so we'll see. But I really, really like how this draft has played out for me here. And they on here, this is going to be the last. That was the last pick that we have. Although, if I'm not mistaken, we do have the Mr. Irrelevant picks. So let's go through the draft here real quick as a summary. We went Enagbare, the edge from South Carolina, so we get that another edge guy who can really compete. And you can imagine the edge battles. We're going to have guys who are going to try and start. You know, we have obviously Bosa, we have Ebukam, Menahu, Willis, Hyder Jr., we brought back Kerry Hyder, and now Enagbare. That's just insane. That's maybe the deepest edge group in the NFL, and I'm not afraid to say that. Then we go Martin Emerson. We stay on the defensive side, someone who I think is a perfect fit for us for what we do. He's someone who, when I actually watched a lot of Charvarius Ward's highlights and his game film, Emerson, when I saw Emerson, they reminded me a lot of each other right there. I think we have really solid depth now at the quarterback position. Let's improve the quality. After that, Alec Lindstrom from Boston College. He could potentially be our long-term center. Maybe he can play some little bit interior offensive line his rookie year, but for sure, to me, I would envision him as the long-term replacement for Alex Mack. Then we get our safety, Verone McKinley, complete ball hawk. Love his game so much. Hopefully, I would think that if we brought back Tart, Tart would more than likely start the season. Tart definitely has a tendency to miss games. So when he does, maybe McKinley can step in and not relinquish that spot. Pierre Strong Jr., this might be my favorite pick of this draft class. Just such a great fit. And to me, very much a guy who could be that Raheem Mostert-esque type guy. Charlie Kolar, really solid depth at tight end. I think initially it would probably be Kittle, then Werner, and then Kolar. But I think down the road, and I think his ability to catch could really separate him. Plus, Kolar's size is awesome. Tyquan Thornton, absolute speed at wide receiver. Love his game. Then Tyler Vrabel, depth right there behind Mike McGlinchey. So that is my mock draft through the NFL Draft Network. This has been a whole lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely do a sum yourself. Post what you guys did. Post what you guys think of my draft. I am for sure going to do a couple more of these before the draft. I'm still watching a ton of videos in terms of draft, players and whatnot, and draft prospects, and where I'm kind of having my own ratings of guys, which does differ from some of the national media pundits. But overall, I want to say thank you so much for watching, guys. This has been a whole lot of fun. I'm going to say two things, and that's going to be the butt counts, and I'm going to catch y'all on the flip side.